everyone, and welcome back to the Inland Empire Coaches Talk. Today, I have the new athletic director from Mater Dei, Amanda. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
So, Amanda, how you all holding up with the craziness? We were talking a little bit off air about we have fires and hurricanes plus COVID. How's it hanging over there in Orange County?
It's day by day, right? Everything changes. So every Tuesday, the governor comes out with something new. Luckily for us, we started school today. So it was so great to be out there and just welcome students. And they were so happy. So seeing smiles on kids kind of made you feel a little better after how long it's been since we've seen them. And especially for me, because I haven't seen any. So it's exciting for me to actually see some students here.
Yeah, let's back up a little bit and give people some of your background. So this is your first year actually at Mater Dei.
Yes, I started July 1st. I was at Carlsbad High for 6 years as their athletic director, coached basketball at Carlsbad before then, been a teacher this is my 21st year in education, first year in a private school. So it's definitely different for sure.
And you're definitely taking over a well-known program.
Yeah, it's funny. I say this story all the time. My first interview, they asked me, what do I know about Mater Dei? And I'm originally from Maine. I'm not from California. So when they say to me, what do you know about Mater Dei? I said, well, I know that I don't want to play you in anything. So they all laughed and it kind of like broke the ice. But it's true, and I think, why would that not be a place I want to work? Like if no one wants to play us, I want to work there.
Because I think it's great that you bring up that fact, the private versus the public, because obviously there is a very big difference between a public school and a private school when we're talking about the allocation of funds, resources for kids. Talk about a little bit of the differences strategy wise that you guys can take on as a program, one being public and one being private.
Well, I think, there's a lot less limitations, right? So public, we have to follow certain things. But it's funny because the view that I had of private schools before I actually got here is way different than it actually is. I was kind of in the mindset of a lot of people where they're like, oh, private, you get everything, you recruit everybody, but right, that was kind of the mindset. But when I get here, it's like, yes, but we're not recruiting. Like, we don't have to recruit. People want to come here, and so it's not like we're out begging people to come. Like, we're not trying to steal people's athletes. Like, it's not that type of thing. So I think for me, one perception was that's how it is. And now that I'm in it, I'm a realist, and that's totally not how it is. Maybe it is for some, but it's not for us. The biggest difference, I think, is there's a lot more flexibility. I think the things that we can give our athletes here, between having a full-time strength and conditioning staff to 2 full-time athletic trainers. The facilities are just, it's a college campus. And so for me, I look at it as, I was an athlete myself. I'm like, man, would have been amazing to go to a school like that. It really prepares these kids for that next level. And it's just so impressive from the moment you drive on this campus and you see the Murillo Center and the things that you see when you drive on. I'm very humbled to be here for sure, and blessed to be here. But it's an amazing place. So I think for me, that's the biggest difference, is the amount of things our student athletes have here compared to a public school.
Absolutely. I mean, I talk all the time with different coaches, like working in Division I, and especially with the Mountain West, and the scalability and the scope that some athletes go from, where you have 20 people in the stands if you're lucky, and you're the best player by 10 yards on the field, comparatively to being in the Trinity League, being able to have all the resources and not being in awe when you get on some of these campuses, because some of the UC campuses are just as gorgeous, if not more so.
Right.
But I think athletes have to train to the scope that they actually want to get to. If you constantly are on a small dust field, you're always going to be in awe and never think that you belong on the big stage.
Well, and I think that's a challenge, because, public schools do it the best they can do, and I know that it's a challenge. I mean, I was very lucky because we were at Carlsbad High, which had a strong alumni association, and we did a lot of really good things there. And they have a lot of great facilities too. But there's some schools that, it kind of is what it is. And some kids can't afford to go to private, some kids have to go where they go. But I also think, there's so many things now that we didn't have. You have internet, you have YouTube, you have all the things that you really can get a personal trainer for free on
Mhm.
YouTube every day if you want, so at least that hopefully adds a little help for the people that really can't kind of do everything they want to do. Unlike when we grew up, where you really just didn't have that option. Like I didn't go to a private school. I kind of, did what I did. It was a rec center, boys and girls club, so yeah, it's just a different environment, and it's just incredible, the opportunities for sure.
Absolutely. Um, Talk to me a little bit because you guys actually have gone back to conditioning already. So Riverside goes in a week and a half. Redlands and San Bernardino's all get the vote today on when they're going back. So what pitfalls, what words of wisdom would you give athletic directors and programs that you've seen in just the last couple days?
I can tell you that you have to really have patience, because it is about the kids, but you have to worry about your coaches as well. Don't forget, you have to let them know that you're there to support them, and that it's okay to not be okay. And that's the biggest thing I say, because some people are not okay. We don't know what everybody's dealing with at home. If we don't make sure our coaches are okay, how are they going to support our athletes to the best they can, right? So I think you have to make sure that you're having that dialogue with your coaches, and then those coaches need to have that dialogue with the kids. The biggest thing with protocols, I'll tell you, to go back, you're going to have to be on people a lot. Wear your masks. As an AD, you're not going to be able to sit in your office. You're going to have to go out and be like, you guys need to social distance. Like, everybody wants to come in and give each other a hug because it's been so long, right? But you've really got to stay your distance. You got to wear your masks, other than when you're actually involved in physical activity. You come back, masks go back on. When you're going in the weight room, your masks are on. They can go off in the weight room. And then it's like, how you're cleaning, are your cleaning protocols, up to par and is working? And we've been back for, I think this is week 6 for us. And we haven't had any problems. So it's been, our protocols are working. And it's interesting to me because I see so many schools that aren't starting, and why? Like, there are things we can do, and it's not, yes, we're very lucky because we're a private school, right? But there are things you can do even as a public school that have no funds to get kids doing something. Because I think the mental health piece is something that too many people are ignoring. We got to get kids back out there, and safely, but we have to get kids back out there.
Absolutely. I know I was talking to one athletic director over the summer, and he was just like, well, I'd love to redo my weight room. And I'm looking around going, it's not that bad. And I go, well, I know as my senior project, when you went from a junior to a senior, that class would go and repaint the weight room and the locker room every summer as the gift for the next year. I was like, it doesn't cost what, $20 in paint from Home Depot,
Right.
and the pride in your school. And then just moving things around and reallocating where some of the weights are. Okay, then maybe you're filling out 20 to $30 every summer. That's nothing to keep pride on campus, but you have to
Right.
instill that in the kids. And to your point of the mental health now.
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, like, it's amazing to me the amount of parents and students who don't even know me yet, who just reached out and been like, hey, welcome to MD. It's such an amazing place. And anything we can do as a staff to make the kids know, like, hey, we're here for you. Like, we want to make sure you're doing okay. And that message has been really clear to our coaches as well. But I think it's important for the parents. The parents are worried, and I get it. I'm a parent. I have an 11 and 14-year-old. And it's like, they're scared to go back to school. Are they sending their kids into the fight? I get all of those things, but I think for them to know that we really care and that we're paying attention is huge for them.
Now, I know that because we'll tie into the AD resources part in a second. Um, there's certain athletic programs that have already gone back. I'm friends with Jeff Clough from Utah, and he runs the entire athletic program. And like they're running full bore as if nothing happened. Versus in the Midwest where I'm from, you have people where they went back on campus, but then their athletes are still doing distance learning to try to kind of create their own MBA bubble. So is there any strategies or any talk like that in Orange County or California?
You know, no, I think, we're pretty, we're pretty, I don't want to say that we're behind a little bit, but I think that we're very cautious. I think as a state in general, I have friends that coach in Texas and Utah as well. And they're like, fly out here if you want to see a game. And I'm like, look, we're going to play. And so I do believe we'll play. I do. And I think the way the CIF handled it was the best way, because if they wouldn't have, we probably would have had to cancel. I don't see it happening already, right? So I think the fact that they did that gives everybody a really good shot to play. But everybody needs to start doing things. Like, it's time now. Like, I get everybody scared, but it's time to start moving in that direction and getting some kids out there, so that they can have these things. You know, you have a lot of kids that are going to be seniors, you know, that they're like, what are we doing? Like, what do you mean we're not going to, we lost the end of our junior year. Now we're going to miss our, so if you can do it safely, people start to have those conversations. And it can't just be because they don't want to deal with it. Athletics is a huge part of schools across the country. And anybody that doesn't think that, they need to open their eyes, because it is. And they need to realize that bringing athletics back is just as important as bringing academics back to those kids. It may not be to the parents, but to those kids, a lot of them, and some of them will only go to school to play. You know, so you got to combine both.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about, I mean, from BSN standpoint, just elevating the student experience, and the spirit of campus, the heartbeat of campus is usually through athletics.
Mhm.
I mean, you can have a brilliant band and fine arts, but they may put on 2 or 3 performances a quarter if you're lucky.
Right.
So it's that embracing, and I don't care if you're talking about the badminton team all the way up to the football team and everything in between. It means something to someone.
Well, and can you imagine too, if you take your athletics, your fine arts, your ASB, and you combine them all into one? You know what I mean? Then you have this big, I mean, and that's really what they do here, which is pretty amazing. I mean, everybody works together, and those kids know that it's special, and they know these things are important, and we want to make sure that all of them feel that way. But it's the extracurriculars that kids do are a big deal, you know? And so everybody, if you're not starting, and that's the biggest advice I can get to ADs, new ADs, if they're not starting anything at your school, you need to start having hard conversations with your principals. Like, we need to get kids back. And like I said before, anybody can email me. I'll help them in a minute if I can.
Absolutely. Now, I know we talked a little bit off air that I have a lot of new ADs in my region. And I've always found ADs are usually in 2 very distinct different categories. One is, my coaches have a budget, go talk to them. And the other one is, nope, I run this ship, and this is, we're going with either a Nike school, Under Armour school, whoever, and they run it almost like a college campus where there's one point. Can
Right.
you talk to the pros and cons as an AD on those 2 styles?
You know, I when I first started at Carlsbad, it was very much kind of coaches did what they wanted to do. And I think when you let that happen, you're kind of losing the branding opportunity. You know, like, coaches want to have different colors, and they want to use a different MD, and they want to, you know, like, so you kind of have to be careful. And then whatever company that you're using, if you're using 20 different companies, you're not really getting exactly what you could get out of that. Meaning, like, if you have a contract with BSN, you know, there may be some type of, you know, hey, if you spend 20 grand, you get this back or whatnot for each school. So you have to utilize that, especially as a public school. There has to be a way to be able to filter funds and figure that out to get equipment or what you need. And so having those conversations and using all school deals are really the best way to go, for an athletic department. When you give coaches too much flexibility, I've found that they'll kind of go rogue. So as much as we want our coaches to have flexibility and be able to run their own programs, there's certain things that they need to follow. And so that's the best advice I can give. If a BSN rep comes to you and you say, go hand it to my coaches, you're kind of playing with fire. So I would always recommend at least the AD pick the Pantone color, pick the logos you're going to use. These are the uniform colors you're going to use, and at least have a standard. And then whatever rep you're using, you know, like Kevin, for us, he knows that there's certain things we don't do. So he won't even let coaches order them. And that's the type of thing I think you need to kind of run, so that it's a branded type opportunity.
Absolutely. I mean, I was a former marketing director, and like, when I work with certain universities now, it's like, this is the marketing directive. This is the contrast agreement. So they're like, oh, you know, I want this ombre style jersey. No. Why? Because it goes directly against your marketing directive. You can't do it. I'm sorry.
Right.
And versus they can go down to anyone else, pick a feature, and they're punching a button. They're not going to say no. They're not looking at the marketing directive.
Right. Right.
I'm working with an AD down the street from my house right now that she called me, and she's just like, I have 9 different logos and 17 colors. And we're just like, yeah, you have a problem.
Oh no. Oh no. That, you know what? Then she takes all that to her admin, and says, pick a few, and that's where we're sticking with, and let them kind of buy into that. That's the best advice I can give her for that.
So we're talking about advice for ADs. You obviously have created your baby, the athletic director's resource. Talk a little bit about that and how people can get in touch with it.
So during COVID, obviously, a lot of people reached out to myself, and then I have my buddy Ira Childress from Gulliver Prep in Florida. We kind of connected via LinkedIn years ago about collaboration, and so we decided to kind of do this Zoom call thing as kind of like a, hey, if ADs need resources and we need to filter ideas off of each other, no one's ever been through this. So we want to make sure that we had opportunities for ADs that could ask questions and try to get answers and see what other schools are doing all over the country. And so we started with, the first one, I tweeted it in California. He tweeted it in Florida. I think we had like 45 people or something on it. And it built and it went all the way up. I think we have over 600 ADs from across the country now. We've had some really cool guests. Brian Kelly was one of them who came on and talked about, what student athletes can do right now to get recruited, which I thought was such a crazy topic, right? I mean, they're all sitting at home. They have time to create a website and they have time to email coaches. So, that was a great one. And we've had a lot of really cool guests. Desmond Howard was another one. We've had some really amazing college ADs. We had Jim Perry on there as well from California. So, it's really about, it's a completely free resource. Many people have reached out about sponsorships and stuff. That's not why we're doing it. I know as a new AD myself, I was kind of thrown into the fire, like figure this out. And I think for us, it's more of a, what do you need and how can we help you? So I think eventually we're going to morph it into, we have our group of ADs that are experienced and we can all kind of work together and collaborate. And then we're going to bring a new group where anybody that's new, like you can come in, you can ask your questions, you can hear what we're talking about. And so eventually we want to kind of build it out so that we have more of a focus, like female ADs, what opportunities can we give female ADs or what opportunities can we give minority ADs? I know Iris started something like that as well lately. So honestly, it's resources. It's what can your kids do? Here's some ideas. Here's our return protocols. Here's how you talk to your admin if you're not getting involved. Here's who you need to talk to if you're new. We challenged our old ADs on the call, our older ADs, not old, but our older.
Seasoned.
Right. To reach out if there's anybody new in your district. Like if you have any new district ADs, reach out to them and see if they're okay and see if they need help. Because I think honestly, ADs have strong personalities. We have to be in this job, but we are stronger together and we can learn from each other. It's not an ego thing and it should never be. If it's an ego thing, they're in the wrong business. This is a grind and it's a lifestyle that you have to be okay with.
I know one of my ADs, he and I butted heads actually several years back because I've known him for a while. But when COVID hit, I was putting out, this is a resource, because I'm a firm believer right now, if you're not creating content, you never will. Because right now you actually have the time.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And he was pounding his head like, I'm not going to watch any of these continuing education pieces. I'm not going to watch it. And then finally, one of his coaches came on the program and then he watched it and he started watching other links. And he sent me a text. He goes, okay, fine. They're actually really good resources.
Good. Well, and I think that's the thing. Like, so for us, it's easy. Right now we're doing once a month because school just started. So we were doing once a week. Now we're doing once a month. But if you go to nationaladresource.com, that's our website. You can sign up with the Google form right there. I send out the link the night before with the agenda. And then, and if people have questions or comments and they want to add, we can add it in there and get that conversation going. So I know for me, it's been extremely motivating to see how many amazing ADs there are across the country. People that are willing to kind of step up and say, absolutely, I'll help. And, it's been overwhelmingly humbling to meet all of them. I can't wait for the national meeting because now they're going to be like, I've seen you on there, but I've never actually met you face to face. So it'll be cool. I told Ira, he's all the drinks are on him. So, but I'm excited to meet everybody. So when those start happening, that'll be fun.
I know the California one's in my backyard, just down here in Riverside.
Uh-huh.
We have it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm excited to go to that. I presented at it a couple years ago at when I was at Carlsbad High. So hopefully you'll see me present again at those things. So it's fun. It's for sure.
Absolutely. So obviously we're kind of in a whirlwind of culture right now and trying to figure everything out. What words of wisdom and hope would you give people to close out here real quick?
I think I'm going to go back to you need to be able to have patience, give people some extra love this year, and let them know it's okay to not be okay. And one step at a time, you'll get through it, and they'll get through it, and we will go back to normal at some point. But it's ever changing, and this year's just got to be, all about love and patience. Having some grace and being able to kind of put the ego aside and say, we need a little extra love for these kids and these coaches for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Amanda, thank you for being on the program. Best of luck this season, and I'm sure I'll see you on another Zoom call here soon.
For sure. Thank you.